On the Wake of Great represents The Center with your host, DC Radical One.
Is now, you see, the way you talk are frightening quite a lot of people.
Okay.
All right, according to what they've been saying and what I know. And I want to know that, are you going to not necessarily be meek and humble and all that, but are you going to just minimize your way of approach? Because not everybody's a revolutionary, or they have not been trained to be that, and the fear is keeping people away from coming together as they should. Now, what can you do about that?
There's nothing I can do about that, because it's my firm belief that somebody has to be that. Everybody can't be mealy-mouthed. Everybody can't be compromising. Everybody can't tiptoe through the tulips. Everybody can't play politics. Everybody can't, if I haven't said it, compromise. Somebody has to be strong. I wouldn't have to be as strong as I am if I saw some others being strong like that. I could tone down, but I'm feeling such desperation to get the message out, to try to plant the seed in those who are strong enough that the walls of their heart, the walls of the uterus of their minds, metaphorically speaking, can hold that revolutionary life and not abort it.
We're going to connect the dots, right?
Connect them.
In the first part, who did they attack?
Women, childbearing.
Women of childbearing age, right? The Catholic priests, they pointed out, they're like, wait a minute, how come you're not applying this to everybody? In the second clip, who did they attack?
Heterosexual men.
The heterosexual men. Let's do a little math. If you sterilize the women, and remember, this was applied to 500,000 women. Now, we're going to understand something here. If you apply that to Europeans, that might mean 500,000 to 1 million people not being born. But African people have more children. So you're talking about 2 to 3 million Africans not being born. Then on the other end, the men are, what's the problem with the men? The men are what? The men are heterosexual. They're masculine. They're too manly. That manliness is terroristic. So they're going to study how to stop that. So if you attack the women with the drugs and you turn the men into homosexuals, how many people will be produced? Zero. Genocide, plain and simple, and they tell you and throw it right in your face.
Out there, we have to be careful what sign we're standing next to.
That's right.
They had every kind of damn sign out there.
That's right.
We're queers for Mumia. That's a shame. We went to rallies in Philly. Every time the new Black Panther Party comes up, people got problems. Everybody could come up for Mumia and all political prisoners except the Black Panther Party.
Right.
Nobody wanted us around. Crazy cracker women standing up with their fists in the air talking about what I just mentioned, queers for Mumia. We're the lesbians for Mumia. And they are welcome at every rally. But some of our own brothers and sisters who claim to be revolutionaries will welcome the queers, will welcome the sissies, the faggots, will welcome the lesbians, the transvestites, the crossovers, the used-to-bes, the wanna-bes. They will welcome all of them. But when we come and say, Black Power, they say, oh, we don't need that. That's divisive. That divides the people. We don't need that on the platform for the political prison. God damn it, if a faggot can stand up, if a lesbian, a
would be offended by receiving money
that's due to us
for work that we did that we were never paid for. That we would be offended for receiving money for being brutally raped, for being whipped, for being worked from sun up to sundown, for having our name taken from us, our language, our spiritual systems, to be instilled with such self-hatred that Black people are bleaching their skin, to have families ripped apart and have a man to have his wife sold off and sent to another state where he never sees her again, where a woman will have her son or daughter, or maybe son and daughter, taken and shipped off to some other plantation where she never sees them again. He says you will be offended for receiving money for that. Dr. Collins said, yes, we need reparations, but white man, we also need some of your blood. I'll take the money first and the blood second, or vice versa. But what does the homosexual say? He basically said, white people won't like us if we get reparations. Right? I mean, think about it. He steps up here before Congress and talks to the chairman, who is Mr. Cohen. What type of name is Cohen?
Small hat.
He tells Mr. Small Hat, hey, man, we don't need any money, Mr. Small Hat. And Mr. Small Hat, of course, is going to say, of course you don't, because he would be one of the main people that need to pay, because the hats were behind the slave trade.
That's right.
Greetings, friends, family, allies, and enemies. I am your host, DC Radical One, and you have entered the center. Shout out to our wonderful producer, Ashby, who got us started in this social media YouTube space journey. Started with her with online radio, eventually moved on to YouTube, but I would not have done it without her. I had some other people recommend it, but would not have done it without her. So Tonight's discussion, of course, said it. What day was that? What was that? Saturday? I guess that was Saturday. That we will be here talking about the situation in Mali. Of course, Mali is one of the member states of the AES, the Alliance of Sahel States. And they recently come under attack from rebels who I suspect are being trained by various people, including France, of course. I'm not sure what other Western powers. I suspect Mossad, because just because their connection with so-called Islamist groups. So you have Al Qaeda was basically a combination of CIA Mossad operation. Right, and this goes back. The U.S. involvement with what will become Al Qaeda goes all the way back to the Soviet Union invasion of Afghanistan. So we know that for a fact. That's been documented. No one disputes that. As far as these new groups, finding out who really is behind what is more difficult. Because as we see in the Sudan, and I'm not sure where I saw this. I believe I saw this on Instagram, but Israel admits today that the destabilization of the Sudan was one of their political objectives. And when you look at that, why wouldn't the stabilization of Mali also be an objective, right? So I suspect Mossad is also involved. The Tuaregs have been trying to be independent, or at least get some recognition of some form of sovereignty for a while before the current government was here. But they're uniting with Islamists, quote unquote. I guess I should just call them what they are. Uniting with terrorists is relatively new. They've actually spent some time previously fighting against these terrorists, the JNIM. As we read the articles and stuff, we'll get to the names and who these different groups are and things like that. Because it's just always amazing to me, man, that these people always, these different groups, these different terrorists, they always just manage to pop up out of the clear blue sky and disrupt things, but they never pop up and disrupt anything in Israel. I find it interesting because when you look at it, right, they're always fighting. They're always allegedly Sunni, and yet no Sunni Islamist group, if you will, that I know of, has rendered an attack on Israel. Now, I just find that just either, Israel's just a fortress that can't be penetrated, except we know that's not true because Hamas has done it. Hezbollah has done it. So that's not true. So why is it that these Islamist groups can always fight against other Muslims, fight against Africans? They can fight everybody else, but they never fight Israel. Even when other people can fight Israel, including groups that may not be as strong, right? And so I always find that suspicious when we have some Islamist group that's out here and just causing havoc and causing confusion and disrupting governments and things like that. There's a lot of this on the African continent right now, where we have the Sudan situation, right? But we know, and I believe I talked about this before, we know that the RSF, they call themselves the Rapid Support Forces or whatever the heck that's supposed to mean. We know for a fact that they are funded by the UAE, and now the UAE is so in step with Israel that the UAE has left OPEC and is receiving weapons from Israel. So that's a situation that shows us, how these people, or how these different groups can be supported by people who you don't think they would be supported by. So we're going to talk about the Malian situation. We're about a week behind. I wanted to see where it went, and then we'll just talk about why it's important. So let me start with the information first. I think, let me see. Right. So this is where it started off. Mali Defense Minister Sadio Camara killed in coordinated attacks. Now, the thing about it was, there's 12,000 fighters, Tuareg and JNIM, combined for an assault on the Malian government. And Mr. Camara was martyred via an explosive attached to a vehicle. So a suicide mission where they rammed into his compound and exploded and martyred our brother and some of his family members. So we're going to read this real quick. Mali's Defense Minister General Sadio Camara has been killed in coordinated attacks on military sites nationwide, a government spokesperson has confirmed. Camara was killed when assailants targeted his house, the spokesperson Issa Usman Koulibaly said in a statement on Sunday. Camara's residence in the garrison town of Kadi came under attack on Saturday morning during simultaneous attacks by Al-Qaeda affiliates and Tuareg rebels. Camara was a central figure in the military government that seized power after back-to-back coups in 2020 and 2021. He was one of the most influential figures within the ruling military leadership and has been seen by some as possible future leader of Mali, said Al Jazeera's Nicholas Hake, who has reported extensively from Mali. His death is a major blow to the country's armed forces. Hake said attackers carried out a suicide car bomb assault on Camara's residence in Kadi, a heavily fortified military town about 9 miles northwest of the capital Bamako, where interim President Assimi Goïta also lives. Camara's second wife and 2 of his grandchildren were also killed in an attack on his home. Kadi is considered one of the most secure locations in the country, yet fighters from the Al-Qaeda-linked Jamaat Nusrat al-Islam wal Muslimin, along with Tuareg fighters from the Azadi Liberation Front, were able to launch the attack. Goïta was alive and well in a secure location, and to my knowledge, is still so. When the attack took place, he was moved to safety, so he remains in command of the military and the government. Gunmen attacked several other locations across Mali, including Bamako, as well as Gao and Kidal in the north and central city of Seville. Hake said sounds of heavy gunfire and loud explosions could still be heard in Kidal on Sunday, according to residents. This remains an ongoing operation more than 24 hours after it began. And analyst Bulama McCarthy said it was likely that more battles for control of territory and strategic locations will happen in the coming days. He also highlighted how armed groups that were previously fighting each other had now joined forces to attack their common enemy, the state of Mali. These are two groups fighting for different objectives, McCarthy told Al Jazeera, but they came together last year and said they would work together going forward. And what we have seen over the last few days is the actual implementation of the agreement. The African Union, the Secretary General of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, the United States Bureau of African Affairs, and the EU condemned the attacks. Okay, and that is that article. Now, I had not heard the EU and these other people condemn the attacks, but that is good to know. So, what I'm gonna do, play this video real quick that discusses this attack, and then we'll come back for some more analysis.
Mali Defense Minister Sadio Camara was killed in an attack on his residence, the government said on Sunday, during coordinated assaults staged by insurgents. Government spokesperson Isa Osman Coulibaly said a car laden with explosives driven by a suicide attacker drove into Camara's residence on Saturday in the town of Kati.
During the intense fighting, he was wounded and then transported to the hospital, where he unfortunately succumbed to his injuries.
Où il a malheureusement succombé. En outre,
furthermore, the collapse of his residence caused additional casualties and the destruction of a nearby mosque, resulting in the deaths of some worshippers who were inside.
Ayant entraîné la mort de certains fidèles qui étaient à l'intérieur.
Attacks were reported in multiple locations across Mali on Saturday. An Al-Qaeda affiliate and Tuareg rebels later claimed responsibility in what analysts and diplomats described as one of the largest coordinated attacks in the country in recent years. Mali's army said in a statement it had killed, quote, several hundred assailants and repelled the assault. However, the fate of the strategic city of Kidal, a former stronghold for the Azawad Liberation Front or FLA, was unclear on Sunday. The FLA said on X that a deal had been struck to let Russian mercenaries leave a besieged camp outside a city where Malian armed forces were still entrenched. But Mali's Army Chief of Staff said that the military had repositioned forces in Kidal and operations in the area were ongoing. Russian state broadcaster Viesti reported on Sunday that Russia's Africa Corps was repelling a large-scale militant attack on Mali's government. According to Viesti, Russian personnel were responding along with the units of Mali's Presidential Guard and armed forces, preventing the presidential palace from being seized. Viesti said some members of Russia's Africa Corps were wounded, without providing further details. Saturday's attack signaled a potential escalation in an insurgency that began in 2012. The current government took power after coups in 2020 and 2021, with a pledge to restore security but has so far struggled to deliver.
My apologies, brothers and sisters, for the slight delay. So yeah, that was the report, and from what I've been able to ascertain, Mr. Camara was essentially Mr. Goita's right-hand man and the second in command, a possible future leader of Mali. Now, the reason that that's important right now is because as of right now, and I'm not sure how long the term is, unless I'm incorrect, Malian leader Colonel Assimi Goita is also the chairman or the head person of the entire AES alliance, and this is a rotating post where each head of each part of the alliance serves a term. I think the term is 2 years, but I'm not exactly sure. So an attack on Mali at this time is an attack on the entire AES. So what I'm gonna do, and y'all know I don't normally read the articles, but I saw this article and I'm like, okay, I need to read this and see what it says. It says Mali is the linchpin of West Africa. Now it's under jihadist siege. Now that's an interesting take to me, because I've never heard anyone else say that Mali is the linchpin of Western Africa. But to me, it is because of what I said, the position that Mr. Goita is in now, and because of the importance of the AES. Let me say this before I get into the article. In my humble opinion, the AES is maybe the last chance for Black people to really lay a foundation for true sovereignty for the next 20 to 25 years. That's how important this is. It's just the reality of the situation as we look at what's going on in the world right now. America is in decline. America is $40 trillion in debt. I'm gonna say that again. America is $40 trillion in debt. America's status as the reserve currency is currently under attack. The NATO alliance is fraying at the seams. Europe, economically and militarily, is extremely weak. Many experts are saying that the world is now a multipolar world. What does that mean? That means that you have different bases of power. So where at least when I was growing up, the two bases of power were United States and the USSR, the Soviet Union. Soviet Union collapsed when I was a little boy. United States became the sole mega power of the world. We're now witnessing the collapse of that for various reasons. The main reason being the influence of Israel and the Israeli lobby on American foreign policy. That's the main reason. As that takes place, what you have is the opportunity for nations that have been under siege, under colonialism, that haven't been sovereign, have their chance to break free. So it's very much like after World War II, sovereignty was a possibility because of the weakness of Europe, right? So that's why if you look, World War II ends, I believe 1945. America spends a boatload of money to rebuild Europe. The Soviet Union takes the eastern half of Europe. In essence, America takes the western half of Europe. Those European nations have to focus on rebuilding themselves, so they can't maintain their colonies. The colonies begin to break free in the 50s and the 60s, right? Here you could have a similar situation where instead of let's say instead of political independence, you can now build true sovereignty, which means independence in all realms, from political, economic, spiritual, cultural, and so forth, so on. That's the opportunity that is on the table as we speak. Also, of course, Africa is the youngest continent. You know, if they were a single nation, if you just took Black Africa, the part that's controlled by Black people right now, those are the youngest people in you made that one nation, that would be the youngest nation on earth, right? So the population is exploding. The economies are growing. The love of, or the need for the primal is not the word I want to use, but the primal need for freedom and liberty and liberation and sovereignty is in the people, it's in the youth. So very much in Africa now, the time is now, the opportunity is now. And so if I know this, and I'm a lay person and I haven't even been to the continent, and I know this from talking to people who have been there, talking to people that's from there, looking at the geopolitical situation around the world, so forth, so on. If I know this, then we know that the people who oppose them, who know this, right? So this, I'm not saying anything that people don't know, but I'm just reminding people so you can understand how important this is. Now, with that being said, if we know how important this is, then we have to expect to come under attack. And that is what is taking place here. So I said all that. Let me read the article and see if they come to a similar analysis or if they say something different. It says an unusual alliance between armed groups in Mali could embolden others in neighboring countries and put Russia's foothold in the region at risk. I wasn't even thinking nothing about Russia's foothold, so that's, he's thinking about something I'm not even thinking about, like Russia's foothold, as he puts it, is not as important as Russia's ability to help Africa defend themselves. But let's get into it. It says thousands of armed fighters belong to the Al-Qaeda linked Jamaat Nusrat al-Islam wal Muslimin, an ethnic Tuareg separatist under the umbrella of the Azawad Liberation Front, launched coordinated attacks on multiple cities in Mali on Saturdays, April 25th. They targeted Bamako, the capital, as well as Gao, Kidal, Mopti, and Sabari, all sites of major military bases in the northern and central regions of the beleaguered country. If the military government of Assimi Goïta has gotten used to sporadic attacks by JNIM militants who have effectively imposed a fused blockade on Bamako for the better part of a year, it seems to have been caught off guard by the alliance between JNIM and FLA and their rare decision to target several cities simultaneously. I will say this, from my understanding and looking at the capabilities of these two groups, they never they never aligned like this. Two, they never had the capacity to do these types of things. So it wasn't, I don't think it's a matter of underestimating your opponent, just your opponent using different tactics, different strategies, and having some type of help to be able to pull this off, because this is not something they've been able to pull off before. Anyway, from the standpoint of the emergency allies, the attacks were a success as they managed to kill Malian Defense Minister Sadio Camara at his residence in Kadi, a garrison town 11 miles. Now somebody just said 9, or maybe they said 9 kilometers, I don't know, from Bamako. Furthermore, reports suggest the armed groups have taken control of several cities, including the northern town of Kidal, where they secured the withdrawal of Russian Africa Corps mercenaries following the reported intervention of Algeria, Mali's northern neighbor. The Russian Defense Ministry has since confirmed the withdrawal. It says Mali has not been at peace since then Colonel Assimi Goïta led the self-described National Committee for the Salvation of the People in ousting President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta in August 2020. Goïta further consolidated his hold on power in May the following year after forcing out interim President Ba Inda. The country has admittedly had a checkered political history since gaining independence from France in 1960, with brief periods of civilian rule more or less the exception since the first military intervention in 1968. But recently, Mali has been buffeted by two conjoined headwinds. First, the country has faced attacks by JNIM jihadists who, since the group's establishment in 2017, have sought to overthrow the Malian government and replace it with an Islamic state under the auspices of Sharia law. Second, Tuareg separatists united since November 2024 under the flag of the FLA have led further incursions. While FLA primarily seeks autonomy for the northern Azawad region, which first unilaterally declared independence from Mali back in 2012, I actually remember hearing something about that at that time. It is instructive that some factions of the group also favor an Islamic state government, moderately, they say, by Sharia law. The JNIM-FLA alliance means that the more personnel and resources are being wielded against the central government, which is increasingly spread thin across a vast landmass. The country is nearly twice the size of Texas, and whose collaboration with Russia has so far failed to produce the anticipated military benefits. Now let's stop right here. To say that it has failed to produce the military benefits, I don't know about that. I have questions about that. The reality of the situation is that, as he said, the jihadists have been attacking the government since 2012. With that being said, and with that going on, if that's the case, then to me it seems like you're at worst in the same place. The difference is that they're much more equipped to handle this situation. Now, as usual, and maybe they'll talk about it later in the article, I don't know, the root of this is never talked about, which is the attack on Libya, which when Mr. Gaddafi was eliminated, jihadists took over Libya, and they brought in other people from around the country, from around the world, and then they came there, and then they spread out to parts of Africa. So the reality of the situation is, if not for the Hillary Clinton's decision to destroy Libya, Mali would not be having this much of a problem with insurgents. But anyway, let's just go here. Mali is an increasingly important theater of great power competition in the Sahel and Africa more broadly. Since expelling the last French troops in August 2022, the Malian government has pulled closer to Russia, whose Africa Corps, the successor to the private military Wagner Group, has an estimated 1,500 to 2,500 personnel deployed across the country. Apart from being a geopolitical bridge between North and quote unquote sub-Saharan, so Arab controlled and Black Africa, Mali shares borders with 7 other North and West African countries. The country boasts a wealth of natural resources, including bauxite, gold, iron ore, lithium, manganese, phosphate, and uranium. This year, Mali is projected to be Africa's second largest lithium producer. Now, if I remember correctly, lithium is used in batteries in things like phones and other tech. So lithium is very important. So realistically, if we want to find out why is Mali coming under attack, that list that I read with uranium, lithium, bauxite, and these other resources is the real reason that it's under attack. Now, the people who are fighting may not know that, but the people who are paying the people who are fighting definitely know that, right? So one thing we got to remember is what our Baba Kamal Kambon said. He told us a long time ago, they want to kill you. However, they want to make money off of your death process. We got to always remember that. Now, Mali is also one of several Sahelian states that have come under repeated attack by various jihadist groups that have been active across the region for some time now. Such groups, watching the latest developments from Mali, will likely be emboldened in their ambition to destabilize other states, especially in Burkina Faso, Niger, and Nigeria. According to 2026 Global Terrorism Index, the Sahel region, which currently accounts for 1 in 5 attacks from militant groups across the world and 51% of the deaths. In the wake of these attacks, the continued coordination by jihadists and separatist forces could threaten the status of Mali as one of the 3 military-led states that exited ECOWAS in September 23 to form the Alliance of Sahel States. Niger and Burkina Faso also teamed up with the Malian armed forces to carry out airstrikes against jihadist targets on Malian territory since the April attacks. While the government has sought to reassure the public that the situation is under control, there's a lot of uncertainty about what happens next. Significantly, the fact that Mali is under the thumb of a military government, I hate that terminology, but whatever, has shown no inhibitions in cracking down on civilian society, making any assessment of current public mood impossible. Since taking power, Goita has moved to dissolve political parties and suspend civil society and media organizations, while quote-unquote human rights groups now. Years ago, I told y'all what human rights meant. Human rights does not mean what we think human rights means. Human rights means homosexuals advocating homosexual agendas and causing confusion in Black areas. There is no such thing as actual human rights groups in reality when it comes to Black people. Like, think about it. Where are the actual Black rights groups who are advocating for Black people in Black countries? Right? Right. Okay. Yeah. Think about it, right? You never hear about that. Anytime you hear about a human rights group, it's some NGO that has money that's coming from outside the country, that's run by some European somewhere, telling you how bad the Black people's rule is. Anyway, let's continue on. Following the attacks, the government appears to be intensifying clampdown on civil society. For example, prominent lawyer and critic of the government Moutaga Tall was abducted from his home in Bamako on the night of May 2nd. In Niamey, the capital of neighboring Niger, demonstrations shouting slogans such as "Down with the imperialists, down with the terrorists and their sponsors, and long live the AES," organized rallies ostensibly in solidarity with the Malian people. So, and I don't know the situation. I don't know who Mr. Tall is, but how do we know the government did that? How do we know jihadists didn't do that so they could blame the government? I mean, it wouldn't be the first time. Like, what are we talking about right now? Now, it says Russia has been scrambling to repair its image following its humiliation in Kidal, where it was outmatched by JNIM FLA fighters, even though it reportedly had warning of the coalition's movements. I had not heard that. In the days following the attacks, Russian state-owned media Sputnik has started to put the blame on Ukraine. Well, yeah, Ukraine is involved. They ain't not putting the blame on them. Ukraine has decided to put, and let me stop right here. I have talked about French and other European governments being involved in the Ukraine war before the brothers home, right? Now, the Ukrainians have attacked Russians in Mali before. Like, I talked about that. Man, that's been months ago, maybe close to a year ago. So we know that the Ukraine is involved in training and weapons and arming these people, and they get their money from the US and their training and stuff from Israel because the Ukrainian president is Jewish. So every time we look up, there's a certain group of people that always have their hand in the cookie jar. Now, anyway, all told, Russia's operations in Mali and across the Sahel have not gone as planned. The killing of Defense Minister Camara, a trusted ally in the administration, is a huge blow. This I agree with. And it remains to be seen whether the military government will continue to invest in a partnership that has brought in slender gains and much acrimony. For its part, Moscow will have a decision to make if its military assistance continues to be largely ineffective. Given Mali's location and resources, it would not surprise if the Kremlin decided to tough it out. Let me just say this. Russia is not going to abandon Mali and the AES, because now that they know that their number one enemy is there, the Ukraine, there's no way that they're going to abandon them, because they know how the Ukrainian leadership is. Russia has been fighting a slow-moving campaign against Ukraine because they've been trying to keep down casualties, because the Ukrainian people
are Russian in essence, right? They're Slavic people. They're all related. The eastern half of Ukraine is just Russian. They speak Russian. They have Russian culture. They're Russian. So when people wonder why hasn't Russia destroyed Ukraine yet, that's why. What's currently going on in Ukraine is, as the Ukrainian men are being destroyed, and y'all excuse me for a second real quick. My bad. Had to sneeze. But while the men have been going on, Jewish people, some of them from fleeing the war in Israel, have gone to Ukraine and set up basically Jewish-only cities, and then they're bringing in African people to work, to basically be wage slaves in Ukraine while the war is still going on, right? So nobody's talking about this part. So they're killing the Ukrainian men, they're taking over the territory, and I'm sure they're taking over the women as well. So, hey, that's what's going on there. And the reality of the situation is that if you see that you're fighting against these people, these people are backing whoever you're fighting against, that's what you're fighting against. You're fighting against having your population being destroyed and your women being violated by your enemy. That's what you're fighting against, plain and simple. Tucker Carlson said it when he was talking about the Iran war, and I was shocked that he said it because he said the quiet part out loud, but those are facts. Now let's get back to this article real quick. It says that under the Trump administration, the United States has sought close ties with the Malian government. In February, the White House lifted sanctions previously imposed on senior Malian government officials accused of having ties with Russian mercenaries, and has been working on a deal that will allow Washington to resume flying aircraft and drones over West African countries' airspace to gather intelligence on jihadist groups linked to Al Qaeda. This I did not know. And again, this is from the Council of Foreign Relations, so you got to take it with a grain of salt. Anyway, the recent attacks give credence to the administration's concerns captured in the NSS National Security Strategy about resurgent Islamic terrorist activity in parts of Africa. Insofar as the attacks demonstrate the scale and seriousness of the jihadist threat on the Sahel, the situation in Mali in particular also highlights potential difficulties in doing business with a quote-unquote unstable regime. So that is that. I have another video that I want to play that talks about the situation there and the response from the Malian government and their Russian allies, because a lot of people have reported that they have indeed responded.
Islamist attack crushed in Mali. Fighters flee, abandon flag as Russian-backed forces advance. In the latest escalation, Malian armed forces, supported by Russia's African Corps, repelled a coordinated attack by radical Islamist fighters in Gourma-Rousse. After initial skirmishes, troops launched a counter-offensive, forcing militants into a rapid retreat. In a telling sign of disarray, fighters abandoned their black flag as they fled the battlefield. On the ground, Russian-linked sources are projecting a clear message of battlefield momentum. The failed assault comes days after Moscow claimed large-scale airstrikes targeting militant convoys. Together, these developments are being framed as evidence of weakening insurgent capacity and growing operational dominance by Malian and Russian-backed forces.
They won't defeat the Russians. Our commander told us the Russians would torture captives with electric shocks before killing them, but they spared my life.
That message is reinforced by the testimony of Hamet Cissé, a 21-year-old JNIM militant captured after an attack near Bamako. According to the Russian African Corps, Cissé's unit of nearly 100 fighters was routed, with its commander fleeing the battlefield. Left behind, he attempted to escape, but was later captured during a sweep. His account now forms part of a broader narrative push, highlighting both militant disarray and Russian battlefield credibility. Parallel to the fighting, an information war is intensifying. Moscow now alleges that Western media actors are directly accessing rebel-held territory. After separatist forces captured Tessalit, French media crews reportedly entered from Algeria via smuggling routes, filming inside military positions and interviewing commanders without official clearance. The strategic narrative is clear. Russia is projecting military superiority through battlefield gains, moral legitimacy through its treatment of prisoners, and positioning itself as a target of coordinated information warfare, accusing France and Ukraine of backing hostile narratives. In Mali, the conflict is no longer just a counterinsurgency. It is increasingly being framed as a front line in a wider contest between Russia and Western influence in Africa.
So, brothers and sisters, let me just say this. You heard that last part he said. This is part of the ongoing global war. It's two things. It's the ongoing global war for true black sovereignty around the world. The AES is spearheading that. This is also a war against global Zionist hegemony. Now, the Zionists will use their European cousins to achieve that and will allow them to take the blame. But when you look behind it, the Zionists are behind it. It's not just the Greater Israel Project. It is a global Zionist plan to rule over all 196,940,000 square miles of the planet Earth, including the 57,255,000 square miles of land and the 139,685,000 square miles of water. They want it all, right? So, in knowing that, right, and I believe that Russia has some understanding of it, and I believe countries in Africa and some African leaders are starting to come to this understanding as well. You will see more alliances of people that seem strange to be allies. For example, Russia being aligning themselves with Mali and fighting against insurgents on the surface, which seems strange, but considering that behind that you see France, you see Ukraine, you see other Western groups that are against Russia, funding and giving money to and training and so forth and so on to Mali's enemies, then it begins to make sense, right? So I'm gonna do right here real quick. Take a quick break, play a couple of advertisements, and then we'll finish up with the second half of the show. So be sure to stay tuned, and I thank you all for coming through. Again, I'm your host, DC Radical One. You can follow me on Instagram at DC.Radical1. on Twitter at DCRadical_ONE. You can donate via Cashapp if you so choose. If you find value in the information we're providing, with $ DC_Radical1. You can also do it via Zelle at straightblackpride_DC at protonmail.com. You can also email me at straightblackpride_DC at protonmail.com. So give me a few minutes, brothers and sisters, and we'll be back.
Everyone, my name is Elijah Lewis. I'm author, motivational speaker. I'm coming to you from the DMV Showcase. Just wanted to take a quick moment to tell you about my book, Your Jewels and Your Journey. This book is all about giving us the tools we need to be our optimal self. What I tell people is that we're all on a journey, and on the journey we learn that life lessons are jewels, but it's also the people that we connect with that inspire us to be better that are jewels. And more importantly, we find out that at the end of the day, you yourself are a jewel. If you don't know who you are, it's hard to know where you're going. But more importantly, it's all about also teaching other people how to do the same once you feel inspired yourself. So if you want to learn more about me and my book, you can go to my website, www.elijahlewis.org. You can check out my book, Book Me for Motivational Speaking. I speak on topics such as freedom from life's addictions, the reality of your vision, and many other things. And also to let you know that during the holiday season, what we're doing is that when you purchase a copy of Your Jewels in Your Journey, 22% of that goes to a veteran that's battling PTSD. So we definitely want to give back to our veterans, especially those who are battling mental health issues. Mental health is very important. So it's always a nice way to give back to those who are less fortunate and who have given to us. So just let you know that this is going toward a worthy cause as well. And speaking of that, I'll take a quick moment to read from one of my book, a chapter from my book rather. This is going to come from chapter 7, which is always give back and help others. When you make it to being your optimal self, you should think about who is coming behind you. Effective leaders don't necessarily have followers, but they're building leaders to come behind them. For this reason, it is important to always give back and help others. By doing this, you're helping the next generation be able to get to their optimal self with the lessons and opportunities you have been given. If you have been given a gift, then you should be able to share that gift with the world. It goes back to when I said you should have a great role model. Well, sometimes you need to be a good role model as well, and that starts by giving back and helping others. So definitely, if you feel inspired, check me out again on my website. Definitely, if you're in the DMV area, I always do pop-up events like this. So shout out to Dr. Chichi. She's hosting the DMV vendor showcase. So definitely come check us out. We'd love to meet you, see how we can help you out. And at the end of the day, continue to be the jewels that you are, and maybe find many jewels on your journey.
I'm Russell Lewis. I'm a licensed insurance agent. I'm an independent agent, and I represent a plethora of different insurance carriers, and I offer a variety of insurance products and insurance services, including automobile, motorcycle, boat, general contractors insurance, long-term care, life insurance, motorcycle. Are you a landlord, have rental property? I work with Foremost Insurance to offer landlord insurance, renter's insurance through Progressive Insurance, as you see, which is one of many carriers I represent. Do you need to protect your business vehicle or your truck? Do you have a golf cart? I work with Universal Property and Casualty for your homeowners and property insurance, specific specialty. Does someone in your home or business need someone who speaks Spanish in the insurance carrier? I have carriers who do that. I'm also a licensed mortgage loan officer in the state of Maryland. I'm looking to expand to 4 to 5 other states in this coming year. And I offer a book to my potential clients on how to get the best mortgages. And a second book I offer to licensed realtors to help their clients prepare for the mortgage lending process. Do your clients or your clients need an estate planning program? We have an estate planning software program which I market and assist you with. And again, many carriers I work with in 16 states from New York down to Florida over to Ohio, Michigan, Arkansas, Texas, and Colorado, North Carolina, South Carolina, Maryland, Virginia, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Alabama, and other states. If you need insurance, give me a call at 443-622-0561. My web address is www.lewisfinancialgroup.net. You can reach me Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. until 6 p.m. And I'm also available on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. I look forward to serving you with all of your insurance needs. Give me a call whenever you're available. Thank you again. Peace and blessings. Have a great day.
Thanks to our sponsors, Lewis Financial Group, also Brother Elijah Lewis and Barbara Olatunji as well. If you are a Black-owned business owner or a Black author, or you have a service or product and you would like to sponsor the program, we would greatly appreciate it. You can reach us through either DM us on Instagram at dc.radical1 on Instagram, or email straightblackradical.dc@protonmail.com. At this time, we kind of want to focus on Black-owned businesses, but considering what we'll see if we will open ourselves up to some other businesses that we think fit along with our brand. We don't want to align with a brand and because somehow takes a controversial, may take away from them, may sully their image, so to speak. So we try to keep it within the family, metaphorically speaking. So we want to look here, and just as via African news, we have, of course, in this picture, Mr. Goita and the very popular Captain Ibrahim Traore. And it says here, Alliance of Sahel States confirmed joint airstrikes. So the joint anti-jihadist force of Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali carried out intense air campaigns in Malian territory following attacks by Al-Qaeda-linked jihadists and Tuareg separatists. The government of Niger said late Thursday. Excuse me. Over the weekend, jihadists and their Tuareg separatist allies launched the largest assault on Mali in nearly 15 years, capturing the key northern town of Kidal and martyring our beloved brother, Defense Minister Sadio Camara, and injuring various family members, for which we are very disturbed by, and our thoughts and prayers go out to our brother's family. Now, says the African neighbors Mali, Burkina, and Niger together make up the Alliance of Sahel States, the AES, which created a joint force against jihadist groups of 5,000 men, increased to 15,000 in mid-April. Authorities in Niger welcomed the prompt and vigorous response of units of the unified force, which conducted intense air campaigns in the hours following the cowardly attacks of April 25th, 2026 in Gao, Naka, and Kidal. The government of Niger said on Thursday evening after a cabinet meeting, spokesperson for the Malian Tuareg rebels of the Azawad Liberation Front, Mohammed El Maaloud Ramadan, has called on Burkina Faso and Nigeria to stay out of events underway in Mali a few hours after the attack. Well, that's mighty bold. You know what I'm saying? That's like you come in and jump me, and then my boys show up, and then you tell them y'all can't get in the fight, even though I'm fighting two dudes, and then two of my homeboys come in, and you say, nah, y'all can't get in the fight. Now, first of all, you started the fight. You want smoke, and now you're getting smoked. So, yeah, I mean, how you want to carry it, right? Anyway, let's see. The three AES nations are all led by military governments that came to power through coups from 20 to 2023. The attacks against the Malian military government and its Russian paramilitary backers has plunged the former French colony into a security crisis. Burkina Faso Defense Minister Celestin Sempore, speaking on behalf of the AES, vowed at Camara's funeral on Thursday to hunt down the assassins. Around 1,000 people gathered in the Nigerian capital of Niamey on the same day to express solidarity with the Malian people, according to live footage of the event on social media. I wish I had footage of that, but I don't. My apologies. Crowds at the Jado Seko Cultural Center shouted slogans like "Down with the imperialists, down with the terrorists and their sponsors, and long live the AES," while a photo of Camara was displayed overhead. Efraid Mulao, a representative from the coalition of civil society groups behind the event, said, "To the Malian people, we say, you are not alone. The active forces of Niger and the AES stand by your side and express their full and complete solidarity." He blamed African leaders for the total lack of visible solidarity in the face of targeted assassination of Mali leaders and called for the withdrawal of French presence from AES territory. Authorities in Niger have accused foreign powers, primarily France, of sponsoring the weekend attacks in Mali. Niger has repeatedly accused France of seeking to destabilize it. A charge Paris denies. Well, of course they're going to deny it. Like, if you stole somebody's car and they haven't caught you yet, and they say, "Hey, man, did you steal this car?" You're going to say, "Nah, what car? I don't know what you're talking about," right? The Nigerian government has canceled May 1st parades through the country for security reasons. Now, let's see. Let's see. Have I read this article? Okay. This is an update on Mr. Goita. It says he's going to take over the position of Mr. Camara for the time being. We're going to read that, and then we're going to do some analysis, and we're going to get out of here by the bottom of the hour, since we do not have a large audience, and the audience isn't that participatory. And so I don't want to spend undue time just because of the size of our audience tonight. I'm not sure what happened. I don't know. I don't know if people aren't getting notifications. I don't know if I'm back to being shadow banned. I don't know. I know that on Instagram right now, I'm definitely back to being shadow banned. My numbers have plummeted. Maybe they changed the algorithm on Instagram yet again. But it is what it is. Anyway, it says that the United Nations voiced grave concern Tuesday over reports of extrajudicial deletions allegedly conducted by the security forces in Mali, now plunged into crisis, that's a little strong, on an assault on the ruling government strongholds. This comes as President Assimi Goita announced he would take over the additional role of defense minister. From my understanding, this for the time being, but I don't know how long. Anyway, the attacks on the 25th and 26th by Tuareg separatists and Al-Qaeda saw groups capture the key northern town of Kidal as they launched numerous assaults, the largest offensive in the West African country in nearly 15 years. The fighting in various locations resulted in the death of at least 23 people, with the United Nations Children Association reporting that civilians and children were among those who were deceased and injured. Defense Minister Sadio Camara was assassinated by a car bomb at his residence. In response, Mali's leader, Assimi Goita, said he would presume the additional role of defense minister according to a decree announced on public broadcaster ORTM on Monday. Subsequent clashes between the Malian security forces and separatists and jihadists were reported over the weekend. We're deeply troubled by the worsening, here we go, human rights. Gotta watch out. Human rights is an excuse to interfere in the sovereignty of nations all around the world. But Black people, human rights here in the hells of North America have never been respected, and no one ever says anything or does anything about it. So if you want to know why I'm just like, whenever people say human rights, my eyes roll around in my head, it's because of that. Because we're the human rights for black people. No one cares about human rights when it comes to black people. But all of a sudden, when there's other people, oh my God, we got to watch over human rights, human rights, human rights. Give me a break. Speaking from we're deeply troubled by the worsening human rights situation across Mali. Speaking from Nairobi, he said attacks reportedly resulted in heavy casualties among civilians, with many forced to flee their homes. Okay, the jihadists attacked people. I mean, so what are we talking about right now? Militants from Al-Qaeda's branch in the Sahel. Militants from Al-Qaeda, right? JNIM and the Azawad Liberation Front, Tuareg separatist group, they did the attacks. They've been gravely concerning reports of extrajudicial killings and abductions allegedly carried out by members of security forces, he said. Alleged by whom? Anyway, on Saturday, Mohammed El Maoud Ramadan, a spokesman for the separatists, states that mass graves containing several bodies were discovered in the Amchak camp located in Tassilit, which the FLA took control of the previous day following withdrawal of Malian army and Russian mercenaries. Initial findings suggest that these civilians were taken to this base before being executed there. French news agency was unable to verify this information independently. Now let me say something real quick. They had notice you put out the information, you put out the accusation, then you say, but I can't verify it. But you already put it out in the atmosphere. Anyway, I see the rest of this information we've pretty much seen. So I'm just going to say this. We're going to follow, of course, all the things that happen in the AES and keep you informed. As I said before, the reason that this is important is because the AES is spearheading the sovereignty movement for Black people around the world. Black people are currently under assault around the world. The AES is under assault. The Congo is under assault. Haiti is under assault. Black people in America are under assault. Black people in Europe are under assault, right? Because the Black people there are being blamed for all the problems there. And if it's not the Black people, it's the Muslims. Black people in South and Central America are under assault. Black people in the Caribbean are under assault. There's no place on earth at this time where you can find any place where Black people are able to express and live out their sovereignty without that sovereignty being threatened, attacked, assault, and where people attempt to overthrow it and attempting to put us in some form of slavery, whether it's economic, physical, psychological, spiritual, you name it, right? So the AES is spearheading, that liberation. And so that's why it's important. The AES must succeed for the future of Black people. And it is important that we here in the West, we tell the story, because the Western media is going to tell lies, because the Western media is owned by you know whom. I don't have to say it. And so that's why I cover these stories. That's why I give you this information, because other people aren't going to cover it. They aren't going to give you the information. They aren't going to tell you what's going on. They aren't going to try to find the information. You have to use different search engines and all types of stuff to try to get the information. You have to go to Eastern sources. And then sometimes, like with the AES, those are French speaking countries. So that brings another barrier to it. But this is why we do what we do. I'm just going to say this. I know people don't want to hear it. I know people don't believe it. But a free and sovereign Africa will make life better for black people everywhere around the world. It's really that simple. Like, think about it. As much Chinese people used to get called all types of names, used to get made fun of, and all types of stuff, right? Not just in America, but in different parts of the world. Even by Japanese people. Okay, you know what I'm saying? And now that China is an economic power and a military power and a nuclear power, you don't see people sitting around just randomly making fun of Chinese people anymore, because they're powerful. And the reality of the situation is that people don't want to understand is, in today's world, and as long as Europeans have been on the planet, it comes down to who has the capacity to destroy their enemies. That's it. Any respect, any privilege, any rights, any positive things, any enjoyment of resources, anything that like that you're talking about, it comes down to one thing: power. Power. And when you're dealing with Europeans, power just means the ability to kill and not be killed. That's what it comes down to. It's like boxing: hit and not get hit. That's the object of the game. So all these other discussions that we have about various things are of no consequence whatsoever if they're not talking about building power for black people wherever we may be on the 196,940,000 square miles of the planet Earth. That's the only discussion that's worth having. Building up military infrastructure is the only discussion worth having. Building up military technology is the only discussion worth having. All the other discussions open up when you can defend yourself from your enemies. As we see, if you haven't learned anything else with Iran, one thing we should have learned is that if you are prepared to fight your enemy and you can defeat your enemy, then you can get benefits that you never thought you would get, and respect you never thought you would get, economic benefits you never thought you would get, and a standing in the world that you never thought you would get, all because you can defeat your enemy, right? Let's just be honest. I've said this before, I'll say it again. Unless they use nuclear weapons, Israel cannot defeat Iran. I told you that before the war. We're here, 40 days later or whatever it be, 6 weeks later. Israel's not even fighting Iran anymore. They're trying to fight Lebanon, and they having a heck of a time with that, right? They trying to get the U.S. to fight the war. The U.S. don't even want to fight the war, but they don't even have enough munitions to defend themselves and their bases and their allies that they've been paid to defend. They can't even do that. So that just goes to show you, when your military is strong, you can change the terms of your relationship with different people of the world. And it's really that simple. And one thing that the biggest thing that the African world, especially the brothers and sisters on the continent, are going to have to do is turn the wealth that's under their feet, their economic resources, turn that into military strength. It's great that you turn it into economic strength. It's great that you help the people, but we talking about realistically, we're dealing with people that are barbarians and savages, and it's just like the rules geopolitically are just like the rules of incarceration. If you can't defend it, I'm taking it. That's how people are. That's how people are when you're incarcerated. That's how people act, and that's how these nations act. Anytime Africa has been unable to defend themselves, whatever we have or we build has been taken. Here in America, whenever black people have been unable to defend themselves, what we have is either taken or burned down or destroyed. So this is just the reality of when Europeans are in charge. That's how the world goes. And so it's imperative that the AES survives and thrives and grows and develops and becomes the model for governance, as far as what Burkina Faso was doing with the improvements and agriculture and the improvements in infrastructure and the various improvements that they're doing, they're leading the way in that. And militarily, they have to defeat their enemies in order to be able to grow and develop. It's really that simple. So I think I'm gonna play this last clip, and then I'll be ready to close out. So let me play this last clip real quick.
The situation in Mali is at a critical point as the violence intensifies. Armed groups linked with Al-Qaeda alongside Tuareg separatists launched coordinated attacks on April the 25th, striking at the heart of the military government. They seized the towns of Kidal and also Tesset, and this is where Russian paramilitaries have been working to back the government. Many of those have had to withdraw. Now, there is footage circulating online from an area called Tesset, and that's along the Algerian border. You can see some of those fighters operating along there. Attacks have also hit a major garrison in Kati, and that's not far from the capital, Bamako, just northwest of there. But this is also where Defence Minister Sadio Camara was killed at home while he was with his family. Now, armed groups say they've laid siege to the capital, Bamako, but also areas across the country. They say also in Timbuktu, in Gao, and also Manaka. But Mali's leader, Assimi Goïta, insists the situation is, in his words, under control, and he's vowing to neutralize those responsible. Now, Mali's military leaders had previously kicked out French and other Western forces who've been operating by battling armed groups. Now, the main force, Jamaat al-Nusra al-Islam wal Muslimin, or JNIM, they've been fighting them and they've been calling to bring down the junta. Now, let's look at some of the figures from the United Nations. They're essentially saying that those with Al-Qaeda, but also with ISSP, and they are associated with ISIL in West Africa, number around 15,000 to 22,000 fighters in West Africa. They've joined forces with Tuareg separatists. Now, this group is the Azawad Liberation Front that's been operating in Mali, and that's essentially seeking an independent state in the north. But Mali's government say they are now taking action, but it's important to note that this is a fast-moving conflict with regional and often global consequences.
All right, so you heard right there, brothers and sisters. This conflict has regional and global consequences. So I'm not just saying it. Media around the world is also saying that it has global consequences. And I just want us to remember that. So we think that these things don't affect us around the world. But as I said, a strong Black Africa is beneficial for Black people around the world. And we have to, it's imperative that we support our brothers and sisters in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. I have been to the what you call it, where the ambassadors are. But I've been there. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. And just told them about our support. I went, actually, myself and Sister Najee, we went together last summer, lending them our support and told them that we're with them, we're watching them, and we are glad that they are doing what they're doing. So with that, brothers and sisters, thank you all for listening. Again, I'm your host, DC Radical One. Follow me on Instagram at DC.Radical1, on Twitter at DC_ONE, or OTW2 at DC Radical One. And also you can email me at straightblackpride_DC. If you have any subjects you want me to cover, or any show topics that you want me to cover, email me at straightblackpride_DC at protonmail.com. If you would like to support via Zelle, you can do that at straightblackpride_DC at protonmail.com. or via Cashapp, $DC Radical 1. I will be on Thursday. Thursday may be a straight Black Pride show. I haven't done a straight Black Pride show in a while, and I'll let you all know what the subject is. There's a lot of things that's been going on. One of the things that's been going on, unfortunately, we've had a lot of high profile deletions of Black women by both Black and white men. We've had some very unusual occurrences of Black men attacking their families. This is stuff that we don't normally see. But it's been in the news lately. I haven't covered it, but I think I will cover it. So I'll let you all know the information being put out on Instagram, and you'll see the thumbnail on YouTube, and hopefully we can get a larger audience. And I'll be investigating why all of a sudden, on any of my social media, why all of a sudden my engagement has plummeted literally 90%. So I'll be trying to figure that out in the next few days. And I look forward to talking to you all again on Thursday. So with that, I say a BB48 and straight Black Pride.
Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also follow us on our other social media platforms. On Instagram, we're at DC.radical1. On Twitter, we're at DC_radical_ONE. And the Cash App is $DC Radical 1. Again, thank you for subscribing. A BB for ODA and straight Black Pride.